In a city, a beautiful woman named Azuka worked as a cleaner in a chief's house. The wife of the chief, Lolo, treated her so well as if they were sisters. They laughed and do things as sisters, not as madam and maid. On the other hand, the chief started making advances towards Azuka due to her beautiful nature. One day, Chief came home. Noticing his wife Lolo was not home, he took advantage of Azuka, leaving Azuka in fear and tears. Azuka could not bear the pain and guilt whenever she sees Lolo, so she decided to leave the house without telling Lolo, so not to destroy their marriage. Lolo cried, asking her why she's leaving. Azuka just kept on crying without saying a word, and she left. 2 months after Azuka left, Azuka discovered she was pregnant. She decided to keep the pregnancy. Azuka worked so hard on the street to save up money for her and her unborn child. 9 months later, Azuka went to the hospital and gave birth to her baby. Azuka heard the cry of her baby as the nurse handed the baby over to her. Azuka carried her with a broad smile of satisfaction on her face. She handed the baby back to the nurse and dozed off. Few minutes later, the nurse came to Azuka with the news that the baby had died. Azuka cried her eyes out, knowing fully well all she went through and how she had worked and saved up money for her child. Unknown to Azuka, the nurse had sold the baby to a wealthy woman named Ngozi, who could not give birth to a child.
Azuka having a conversation with Ngozi. I gave birth to my child on the 14th of April 2020 in St. Macaroni Hospital. All of a sudden the nurse came to me to say my child had died, but do you know what? The nurse did not show me the corpse of my child, and I have a strong feeling that my child is alive. Ngozi looking uncomfortable, knowing fully well that is the same day and same hospital she got Chioma from. Ngozi said to Azuka, shuddering, I'm so sorry for that, and she stood up to leave. Azuka then asked her, when and where did you give birth to Chioma? It was at this point that Ngozi realized that Chioma might be Azuka's child, and seems Azuka is aware already. Being defensive, Ngozi said to Azuka, I gave birth to my daughter in the United States. Ngozi said to Azuka, please do you mind leaving my house? I will give you any amount you want. Azuka asked her why is she asking her to leave. Ngozi said, because I will be traveling to the state with my family, it came up urgently. Azuka then said to Ngozi, saying I know Chioma is my daughter. Ngozi slapped Azuka, what rubbish are you talking about? Azuka threatened to expose Ngozi if she hits her again. Ngozi started crying, confessing to Azuka how she discovered she lost her womb and she decided to buy a child illegally. This time Azuka slapped Ngozi, so you made me go through such pain of losing a child. Ngozi went to her child Chioma and narrated the whole story to her. Chioma in tears as she apologized to Azuka, her mother, for all she did to her. Chioma insisted she knew who her father was. Azuka took her to Chief's house. They all went to Chief's house. Chief and Chioma had a striking resemblance. Azuka narrated the whole story to Lolo. Chief was surprised and buried in shame. They asked Azuka for forgiveness.
Few months later, Azuka was able to pull herself together and moved on with life. She started attending a church and became a hard-working church worker. She was part of the church cleaning team and worked so hard, which drew the pastor's wife's attention to her. The pastor's wife, Ngozi, went to Azuka with the job offer to work for her in her house. Due to Azuka's past experience, she refused the offer, but after much pleading from Ngozi, Azuka reluctantly accepted the offer. Ngozi had different workers in her home, but Azuka's duty was just to take care of Ngozi's child, Chioma. Azuka lived peacefully with Ngozi for years until Chioma grew up into a beautiful young lady. As an only child, Chioma grew up to be a spoiled child. Chioma was rude to every worker in their house, including Azuka. Chioma would deliberately pour water on the floor and ask Azuka to clean it. One day, Chioma fell sick and needed a blood transfusion. Her blood type was nowhere to be found, as it is a rare one. Different people came for donor, but no match was found. Azuka, on the other hand, knew she also has a rare kind of blood. Azuka went to the hospital and behold, hers was a perfect match. After the successful surgery, Azuka was lost in thought. How could her blood match that of Chioma, and they also have same birthmark on their backs? She also remembered the nurse did not show her the corpse of her late baby. Could this be coincidence? Azuka wondered. Azuka decided to run a secret DNA test and discovered the child was hers. and shared same date of birth with that of her supposed dead child. Azuka kept it a secret while she did her findings to unfold how the child got to the hands of Ngozi. Chief asked Azuka for forgiveness, and Azuka was willing to forgive. But Lolo, Chief's wife, was not having it. In Lolo's voice,
"If Azuka forgives you, I, Lolo, will not forgive you. I have turned blind eyes enough to how you molest all the young girls that came to work for me. I think it's high time I set things right,"
Lolo said. Apparently, Lolo knew Chief was a molester, but kept quiet all this while. But this time, she decided to do the right thing. Chioma felt disappointed knowing that she was a product of rape by her biological father on a biological mother. Lolo, Chief's wife, called the police, and the Chief and Ngozi were arrested. Chief was sentenced to 25 years and Ngozi 10 years imprisonment. Despite Chioma pleading to Lolo not to arrest Ngozi as she still sees Ngozi as her mother, Lolo was bent on doing the right thing. Lolo made preparations for Chioma to travel out the States to study law, her dream course. Chioma graduated from law school as a distinction student and was able to get her adopted mom out of prison. Ngozi learned her lesson the hard way. Chioma made sure she took care of her 3 mothers. Lesson: sooner or later, there is always a consequence to pay for every action you take.